Don't forget to like, subscribe and share the videos.
Hello all, welcome to Ganesh IAS Academy. This is the special session. In this session, we are going to discuss about the previous year UPSC Mains Economic question. So, the plan about this new session is all about how to approach the mains exam and also what are the major keywords you have to know before you are going to the exam, because based on the certain UPSC terminologies, the answers will vary. For example, examine the causes of poverty in India or else critically evaluate the poverty in India. So based on this terminologies, the answers will vary. So that is the major thing. Once the person is clearing the prelims, means he is or she is perfectly ready for the mains exam, because he have around more than 60 to 70% of the knowledge about the UPSC. With that only he is able to clear that exam. So, but when it comes to mains, it is totally different from what you are comparing about the knowledge, because here the knowledge part is playing very small role when comparing to the prelims. Here it is more of psychological things and also your health ability, because you have to sit and write for 3 hours, and it is a continuous thing. It will happens like within 7 days you have to write all the exams. So these are the certain issues you have to face. So first thing you have to do is you have to do more practices. So writing practices plays the vital role when it comes to the mains, and also how to use your knowledge part while you are writing this exam. You know the answer, but you have to give certain extra points to get extra marks. If it while you are comparing the normal mark and extra marks, normal paper and the extra mark paper means it will have certain data with reference to the international organizations, or else it will have the certain data of the budgets, or else it will have the data of any economic surveys details, or else you can quote the certain government schemes related to the issues. So you can quote certain examples based on which you will get certain extra marks. Consider that in 20 questions, if you are getting a extra half a mark for every question, means that itself get you 10 marks. So this 10 marks will decide your cadre and also your posting and also your ability to face the prelims, your ability to face the interview in more confident manner. So all these things are major when it comes to the mains exam. So here you have to do certain homeworks. So when it comes to prelims, mains is more easy. It's based on the knowledge part, but it is all about the writing practices and also how you are going to use certain data, where you are going to use it, whether it is in the intro part or in the conclusion part or else in the body of the answer. And also you can use certain quotes, or else you can say this, you can use certain statements given by the prime minister, or else president of India, or else the external affairs minister. So you can quote it. If it is relevant for that question, you can easily quote it. For example, honorable prime minister said that Vikshit Bharat 2047. So you can quote it anywhere else in your answer if it is relevant to that answer. Doubling of the farmer income. So there are many ways to you can use the certain words or quotes in your answer. And also when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine crisis, most of the countries has criticized India, like India is not taking any stand related to the Russia and Ukraine crisis. In that issue, our external affairs minister said that India already took the stand. He said that India is standing with peace, which means we are not standing with Russia, we are not standing with Ukraine, we are standing with peace. So that is the way you can use this quotes itself in your answer. If it is any question related to the Russia-Ukraine, means you can use this quotes itself in your introduction. So that will going to fetch you the extra marks. So while the examiner is going to correct your paper, he will come across these statements means the examiner's thought process itself change based on that your answer, because he is in the updation process, he is frequently updating certain data, so he is quoting certain terms or words or statements, so based on which the examiner itself come to the conclusion that he is the efficient person to be the administrator. So that is the thought process you have to create among the examiner, the evaluator. So this is how you can enhance your answer. This is the most important thing when it comes to mains. So here you can use any creative ideas. When it comes to the questions like advantages or disadvantages means you can use the seesaw. So here advantages, here disadvantages. Here you can quote what is the headlines. So there are certain ways to make your answer more attractive. So you have to present it in a more of good manner. When it comes to prelims, it is not about presentation. It is not about a creativity. But when it comes to mains, it contains a creativity, innovative thoughts, and also using certain diagrammatical presentations, and also updated statements. You can quote anything. So this is how you can present your answer. That is the main thing when it comes to mains. So we will discuss that thing also when we are discussing the previous year questions, and also we will discuss about certain terminologies, and also how to identify the keywords, and what are the possible intros you can quote, and what are the possible conclusions you can quote. So all these things will be discussed here. Okay, so let's begin the session. This question was asked in 2022. It is a 10-mark question, which means it's a 150 words question. So the question is, elaborate the scope and significance of the food processing industries in India. First thing, you have to identify the keywords. So what is the keyword here? So it is speaking about the food processing industry, in which scope and then significance. So food processing industry is the main keyword for this question, and also it is speaking about the scope and its significance. So this is the keyword. Next, first you have to identify the keyword. Second, you have to find what type of question is this. Here it is elaborate. So elaborate means you have to give the broad things about this question. Okay, so you have to discuss most of the parts. So you have to give certain things in more of explanative form. Okay, so that is the thing about the elaborate. So the type of the question and the keywords, that is the first thing you have to think, based on which you have to decide what is the introduction and then what is the conclusion. So what you have to do is, while you are reading that question itself, you have to think about the intro part and then the conclusion part. The reason is, you may have a good intro, but you don't have a good conclusion. The reason is, you are in the rush to getting into the next question. So your mind won't process the conclusion. Okay, so that is the major issue for every aspirant. So what you have to do is, first of all, while you are identifying the keyword and what is the type of the question, next, while you are brainstorming for the introduction and the body part, you have to brainstorm about the conclusion part also. So that is the most important thing you have to do. First, what is the possible introduction you can give to this question? When it comes to the food processing industry, why we created this food processing industry? First of all, it is the connection between the food processing industry. It is the connection between the farm to the home. So this is how the food processing industry is going to connect. So it is going to create a chain between the consumer and the producer. So this is what this food processing industry is going to do. So it is related to the manufacturing sector, but it is primarily connected to the primary sector. So this is all about the food processing industry. We have a ministry for the food processing industry. It was created in 1988. So this itself can be the introduction to enhances the food processing and to reduces the wastages and also to increases the employment opportunity and the export potentiality. We created a specific industry for this. We created a specific ministry for it. That is called as Ministry of Food Processing Industry in 1988. In 1988 itself we created it. So focusing on food processing. So your intro can be like this. We created the Ministry of Food Processing Industry to specifically enhances the food processing in India. This Ministry of Food Processing Industry will do the policy and regulatory measures, and also that food processing will enhances the farmers' income and also reduces the wastages. It will going to create a forward and the backward linkages. This is how you can give an intro. Simply you can quote the ministry, because why we are creating a ministry or department is to specifically focus on certain thing, to specifically address the certain issue. For that only we are creating any department or any ministry or any commission. So that is the way you can give your answer in the intro part. This is the first thing. Either you can do this or else you can say about the GDP contribution from the food processing industry. It is around 10 to 12%. That is also your answer. So you can quote it as in that way also. So GDP contribution. So first intro, second intro is about the GDP contribution. So this is the method you can follow. It is all about the intro. So intro itself gives certain insights to your answer. Then you have to think about the conclusion part also. So what is the possible conclusion? Again you can say that if the food processing industry is going to do this in a best manner, means it will reduces the wastages, and also it will increases the export potential, and also India will become the dominant player when it comes to the exports of the food, processed foods in the world. It will going to help the doubling of the farmers' income. Okay, so you have to process about the conclusion also. So that is how you have to think about the intro part and the conclusion part. Okay, so next is about the body of the answer. So when it comes to the body of the answer, it is about the scope of the food processing industry and then significance of the food processing industry. So this is the two subheadings you have to give. First subheading is scope of food processing industry in India. So intro part. Next you are jumping into the answer part. Here you have to answer about, the examiner will see first the scope of the food processing industry. So this is the first subheading you have to give. So what is scope? So scope means is all about the opportunities or the chances. For example, after you completed your 12th exam, if you are saying that I am going to go take this course, I am going to take electronics and communication engineering, or else I am going to take mechanical engineering, means some of the persons may ask about the what is the scope for it. which means whether it is provide you the job opportunity, whether it is remunerative. So that is about the scope, whether there is a chances or opportunities. That is all about the scope. So first of all, you have to know what that term means. That is the more important thing when it comes to mains. If you have a different thought process about that scope means, you will answer it in a wrong manner and you are just filling the pages. You are going to just filling the pages, which is not even going to fetch you any mark. It is a time waste for you. So first thing you have to know is what that scope is means. Next, what the significance is means. Okay, so this is the first thing you have to know. So scope. So what is the chances for food processing industries in India? So you can easily quote that India have the diverse landscape and also diverse climatic features, diverse weather pattern. So based on which we can cultivate different types of crops. So for all that crops, there are the huge demand in the world market, and also for that we need a food processing industry. So there is a relevance for the food processing industry because we have the different types of landscape and the climatic regions within India. So we can cultivate different types of crops, diverse crops we can cultivate. For that we need a food processing industry. So there is a scope for the food processing industries in India. This is how you have to answer it. So what you have to do is again and again you have to pitch it. What that subheading itself says. So there is a scope for the food processing industries in India. That is the way you can answer it. That is the first point. Next, consumer preference. So due to the urbanization, migration, and also India is being a globalized country. So based on that demands, so urbanization, migration and globalization creating the demand for the processed foods, which means they are ready to consume the diverse foods. So there is the global demand and also the domestic demand. So for that we need to process our food and we have to increase the shelf life of that food. So there is a demand for that, based on which we are saying that there is a scope. So India is facing the fastest urbanization, and also India is the globalized country after 1991. So based on this, the consumer preference that is increasing. So there is a scope for the food processing industry. Or else, and also you can add another point is the consumer preference is also changing. Now they are ready to consume the processed food, which means processed food is nothing but it is all about enhanced nutrient value. And also they are ready to have the food for a longer period in their home. They are going to buy the food monthly once, which means grains or something, grains and vegetables. So in that scenario they are ready to consume the processed foods. So food culture is changing. That is also increasing the scope for the food processing industries in India. That is how you have to say. Next, global demand we discussed is, and then modernization. Okay, so India is facing certain modernization and also there is a growth in the industrial sectors. So there is the availability of the modern technologies. So that itself it is going to help for the growth of the food processing industry. So there is a large scope for the food processing industries in India. Next, and also there is a increases in the spending for the research and development when it comes to the processed food. So the spending also increasing, based on which there is a huge scope for the food processing industries in India. So this is the manner you can give your answer. So you have to again and again pitch the question itself. Okay, what that question is saying, you have to once again you have to say it, based on which the examiner will come to know that so this person is not deviated from answering certain question. Okay, so the examiner will know that this person's answer is in the flow, and also he is not diverted from the answer, because you will face certain diversions while you are answering. It is a 10 mark, so there is a no issue. When it comes to the 15 mark, means definitely there will be 2 to 3 or 4 subheadings you have to give. In that scenario, definitely you will face certain diversion from your answer. You may deviate from the major points and you will elaborate some other things which is not even relevant to that question. That may also happen. In that scenario, you have to once again try to refer the question itself in your answer. That is the way you can avoid that deviation of your answer. That is also one of the major thing you have to do. Next subheading is significance. Significance of food processing industry. So what is the significance? You can say about helps in the doubling of the farmers' income, and it will reduce this disguised unemployment. Yes, that is also obviously true, because in India the major crisis is disguised unemployment in the agriculture sector, which means in a farmland, if it is need 4 persons to work, means in India there will be around 8 persons they will work, which means this extra 4 persons are being unemployed, but it is a hidden unemployment. They claim that they are employed, but in reality their efficiency is very low. Their working efficiency is not used at that most level, at that par level. So that is the issue of this disguised unemployment that can be overcome by this food processing industries when it comes to the agriculture sector. Next, it will grow, it will helps in the growth of the export, and it will also going to reduces the import, and also it will going to meet the domestic demands, and also it will increases the competitiveness of the India's export. Next, it was obviously it is going to contribute for the GDP growth. Okay, so these are the things when it comes to the significance of the food processing industry. Okay, significance means its importance. Okay, next, so what are the possible conclusion? You can say that food processing industries have the huge scope and the importance in terms of economic growth, employment generation, value addition, export potential, food security and nutrition. So we need to focus on the food processing industries way more, or else you can say that the Ministry of Food Processing Industry had a target of making the GDP contribution from the food processing industries as 15%. Already we are in the 10 to 12%. Now the food processing industry is focusing to enhance it to 15%. So we are in a path to achieve it. That is the way you can conclude it. Try to give the positive conclusion. If it is possible, means you try to give the positive conclusion. If it is not, means give a balanced or a suggestions based, okay, suggestion based conclusion. So that is the more optimistic way of concluding your answer. Okay, thank you.